Hi, Brenden Henry here, the world's leading expert in peptide science, with the most scientifically supported Pinelon article online. And did you know the Russian rhythmic gymnastics team won 5 Olympic gold medals in a row, and their coach, Irina Viner, attributes much of their success to Khavinson's peptides? Probably not, because when I look online, all I see is misinformation put out by others who aren't even passionate about peptides. And it's both sad and obvious to me, because if they really cared about peptides, they wouldn't be getting even the most basic information wrong, and they would be sharing more great content with you. It really takes someone with a lot of tenacity to find and interpret all of the nuances of this peptide research, and it is my passion that drives me. And that's why I tracked down a Russian woman who shares my passion for peptides and understands the critical importance of accurate translations. So here is the perfect translation of Irina Viner, the head coach of the Russian rhythmic gymnastics team, explaining how she used Khavinson's peptides to enhance her athletes' recovery and immunity.
We have a doctor, Nina Konstantinovna Pershina, who is a very good rehabilitation therapist and doctor. We have an excellent radiologist, and we have peptides that, for example, no matter how good their bones are, if they're sick, if they have a simple or complex flu, if their immunity is zero, they can help. We have not been sick for second year because we take peptides. For example, I myself and my children recover very well if something is cut or an abrasion or wound, because any of this would be great inconvenience. Firstly, this is a path of various infections. I had an Olympic champion, Julia Barsukova, whose abrasion on her leg meant she couldn't compete at the Olympic Games because she simply had a swollen knee but was not generally sick. She had a fever and they wanted to withdraw her from the competition but was diagnosed with infection. She took harsh antibiotics, performed, and subsequently became an Olympic champion. And now we can avoid this because if we fill this wound with a peptide that regenerates the tissue, then that is it. The next day it will already heal and we will no longer be able to get an infection, and so forth and so on. This means we monitor it all the time. We have retinal peptides, liver peptides, and other peptides. Well, it's very difficult to say right away how many types of these peptides exist, and it is an anti-doping drug. This has absolutely nothing to do with stimulants, doping, and so on. Therefore, it is very cool that Mr. Khavinson invented all this and received patents for all of this. This is all not just a words, but it is all patented, it's all tested, it's all described. All this is documented evidence that it is useful. You see, I have a very smart mother. She's a doctor, and despite the fact that she is already aged, she has many books on medicine. She herself is a very interesting person, and she reads a lot. She has newspapers and books on medicine. Colleagues call her and talk about the new medicines. One day she found a small article about peptides. There is a very little information about them. She also found a small article about Dr. Khavinson and she demanded that I find him in St. Petersburg. She is my mother. I couldn't refuse. We found him in St. Petersburg, and this is where it all started. I took my doctors and they listened to all his private lectures. We started using the peptides and genetic tests. Our first research was done on the genetic test. Now we seem to know what we should be afraid of and what not to fear, and we are taking some precautions. All of our students are healthy in general, but we all depend on our genetics. Also, as I told you, there is also liver and retinal genetic. We all have our parents, grandparents, and ancestors. Therefore, we are fortunate to know this man. He performed the research and created such drugs which help us overcome our bad genetics. The greatest pleasure this brings is the training and competition. I am not afraid that I will drop something or make a mistake, show my soul, my composition, and in competition so far, apparently there is a little experience or a young age. It's very difficult to show your soul and liberate yourself completely. As I said, the peptides increase our immunities. Last year, not a single gymnast fell ill with any cold or viral disease. No one was sick at all. This year, we had the World Cup, and somehow, as our Prime Minister says, we got so busy, we forgot to take peptides. In January, everyone became ill. We began to take the peptides again and are all recovered. Do the gymnasts use any other special drug? No, we use what we have, and that is quite enough. We have completed our research. We have seen that the resistance to stress increased from 4 to 14 times. It's cool, as my kid says. If a gymnast or an athlete is afraid to go out and complete, this is difficult. So, if their stress level is low, they don't need to inject any drugs into their blood.